page 92 of this book, The Universal Prayers. The first two on that page from the Adhyatma Ramayana. The Adhyatma Ramayana, as the name indicates, the emphasis in the Adhyatma Ramayana is on the teachings, Adhyatma teachings, spiritual instructions. The story serves as a background. This is in the form of conversation between Shiva and Parvati, much smaller than the Valmiki Ramayana. So from that, there are two hymns here. Om Tvam Shuddha Bodhosi Sarvadehinam Atmasya Dhishosi Nirakriti Swayam Pratiyase Jnanadasham Mahamate Padabja Bhringa Hita Sangha Sanginam Aham Prapannosmi Padam Bhujam Prabho Bhava Pavargam Tava Yogi Bhavitam Yathanjasa Jnanam Aparavaridhim Sukham Tarishyami Tatha Anushadhimam. The translation: O Lord Omniscient, you are verily the absolute consciousness, the Atman, and the master of all beings, the formless reality. You reveal yourself to those whose eye of knowledge has opened, and who, like the bee, have their mind ever fixed on your lotus feet. O Lord, I seek the shelter of the lotus feet, which yogins ever meditate upon, and which verily sever all shackles that bind man to earth. Please show unto me the way by which I may truly cross this shoreless ocean of ignorance with ease. This is a prayer to the Lord. Show us the way out of this world of suffering, which is not our place. We are here because of the karma or desires we want to fulfill. But this is a temporary place. Our abode is with Lord, Paramdhama. So please show me, O Lord, how to reach your holy feet, lotus feet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. We just completed our study of sloka number 66, which is called the Charama Shloka. Charama means ultimate teaching, the last teaching of Sri Krishna to Arjuna. Before he gave this one, if you go a few verses before, the Lord already summarized his teachings in verse number 65, the previous one. And then he said in the previous one, Bhagavan Sri Krishna tells Arjuna, because you are very dear to me, Priyosi. Therefore, I am going to tell you again, Bhuyaha. This is 64. Bhuya means again, once again, I'm going to repeat what I have said before in all the earlier chapters. By way of summary, Bhuyaha Shruname Paramam Machaha. Listen to my supreme words once again. Then he summarizes all the teachings into 4 instructions. So many instructions are given in the earlier chapters, Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, all those places. Lord has Sita Prajna Lakshana, second chapter. Many instructions were given for spiritual life, but they have all been reduced to 4 by way of summary and conclusion, repetition in verse number 65. Those we studied in some detail. There in 65, the Lord said, Manmana bhava, madbhakto bhava, madhyaji bhava, mam namaskuru. Manmana means keep your mind always fixed on me, not allowing our mind to think about worldly thoughts, which are distractions and waste of time. They put all kinds of negative thoughts into our mind, and that is an obstruction in spiritual life. So Manmana Bhava, how to always keep our mind on God, we studied several instructions. Mad Bhakta Bhava, be devoted to me. Devotion to God is the highest. Devotion to other entities such as wealth, family, power, position, one's own profession, these are all good also, but they have limitations. That will end sometime. Sooner or later, that connection will not be there. All associations, all connections with worldly things are temporary and they will come to an end. But not so in the case of God. God is eternal. Whether we are there or not, He is there. So if we are devoted to Him, that is permanent and His grace is eternal. So Madbhakta Bhava, Madhyaji Bhava. Yajna means offering. Madhyaji means whatever you do, offer it to me. Yaji is one who performs yajna. Whatever work you do it as an offering, as a yajna to me. Those instructions have come before. Mam namaskuru, bow down to me. Who else is there? To whomever we bow down, He is there. In all beings and everyone and everything. So to Him we bow down. He is the ultimate refuge. If you do these 4 things, he says in the second line of 65, Mameva Eshyasi. Eshyasi means you will come to me alone. That means our ultimate destination is God and we reach that destination. If we pursue worldly things, we will remain in the world. If we pursue heaven, we go to heaven. But that's also not a permanent thing. That we saw in chapter 9. We have earthly life. So, Mam Namaskuru, go down to God. Mameva Eshasi, you will reach me alone. Priyosime, you are very dear to me. Therefore, Pratijane, te Pratijane, I am promising you. This is Lord promise. He has promised earlier also. In the 9th chapter, the Lord had said, those who are ever devoted to me with steadfast devotion, I will take care of them. I will provide what they need and I will protect what they have. Yogakshema mahamyaham. But we have to be devoted to Him with steadfast devotion, not sporadic and changing. Then He will, that's His promise. Yogakshema mahamyam 9:22. And then again in the 9th chapter later, He said, Name Bhakta Pranashyati. Even if a person has engaged in bad conduct in the early part of one's life, later if that person realizes the mistake and changes and makes a determination to reach God, pursue spiritual life, then such a person will also reach God. Because he or she did bad deeds, he will not be allowed to perish. Name Bhakta Pranashyati. 9:30-31. Apicher Sudaracharo Bhajate Mam Ananya Bhak. Sudarachara means a person of bad conduct. Even if a person has engaged in bad conduct, still, if that person makes a determination to not revert to the old ways and pursue God's spiritual practice, I shall not let him perish. Name bhakta pranashyati. Kshipram bhavati dharmatma shashvat santim negachati. Quickly he will become a dharmatma, virtuous person. Shashvat santim negachati. Achieves permanent, everlasting, unconditional peace. Name bhakta pranashyati. My devotee. So, like this he has promised earlier. Now, finally he is promising here in 65. Mameva eshyasi. You will reach me alone. There is no doubt in this one. Satyam, truly. Te pratijane, I am promising you. Because you are dear to me, Priyosi. So after this, he gave the last instruction, which we studied in some detail. There he says, giving up all dharma, everything, take refuge in me alone. I shall free you from all sins. Sins means obstacles to God realization. That we studied in some detail. What is meant by giving up all dharma? Can we give up adharma also? All those things we studied in some detail. Dharma here means karma. Dharma means dharmic karmas, good deeds. Adharmic karmas, bad deeds. First we have to give up adharmic karmas. Then pursue good karma. A stage will come for some people, for small number of people, even that good karma also will stop, will end. Everything will drop away. That may not happen to everybody in this life, but it happens to people who have reached the highest realization. People like Ramana Maharshi, Sri Ramakrishna, also Latu Maharaj, for them there was no duty. No good, no bad. They had surrendered to the will of God, and whatever happened, they accepted it as the will of God. They had gone beyond all dualities, good, bad, no price, no blame, nothing bothered them, affected them. Those are few. When we can reach the stage when everything will stop, Sri Ramakrishna could not do the worship of the Divine Mother Kali in the temple. He was a priest, he had accepted the job of a priest. A stage came and he could not do that one also. He could not cut a flower. He could not pluck a flower from a plant for puja. He could not cut a fruit. Everywhere he was always experiencing God's presence in all and everything. So no action is possible. No worldly thought of money, possession, power, fame, nothing at all. One day, somebody kept a coin in his hand. Immediately his hand all retracted like this one. Fingers started hurting, severe pain. It had to be taken away. So could not touch any metal at all. So that stage comes, no work, no good, no bad, no duty, nothing. When will the stage come? He is explained in one verse in the Gita, chapter 3, verse 17, that we studied before. When can we reach the stage when no karma, nothing, no good, no bad? If we reach the stage ever, it says, Bhagavan Sri Krishna says in chapter 3, verse 17, the stage of total freedom from all karma, nothing, no karma at all, no good, no bad, will come when a person is totally absorbed in self-knowledge, Atma Jnana, or experiencing divine pure devotion, not ordinary devotion. So that is described in this sloka. Yastu atmaritare syat atmatriptascha manamaha atmanyevacha santushtaha tasya karyam navidyate. karyam, no duty at all. So in other words, when a person is totally absorbed in the bliss of the self, Atmananda, totally content with the self, experiencing his divine nature, Aham Brahmasmi has become experience. For us, it's only a Mahavakya in the Upanishads. But some people experience it directly and they're absorbed in the self, not aware of people. What happens to body? Nothing. That is a very rare occurrence. Until then, we have to keep on doing our duties. We cannot give up voluntarily. Duties will fall away when the stage comes. She also said that, Sri Ramakrishna also said that one in the very first chapter of the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, on page 77 of the English Gospel, when M. Mahendranath Gupta, who wrote the Gospel, first went to Sri Ramakrishna's room one afternoon, these were the first words he heard. M heard. Sri Ramakrishna was talking to a group of people there in his room. He said, when upon hearing the name of Lord Rama or Hari, a devotee experiences a thrill of devotion, tears of devotion flow from his eyes. When hair stands on end and voice chokes, then know that a stage has come for such a person. No duty, no rituals, no sandhya, no puja, no japa, no meditation, nothing. All these have served their purpose. That is the culmination of spiritual life. Total absorption in God consciousness or self-knowledge. Until then, we have to do our required duties. Niyatam kuru karmatvam. That instruction we studied before. So as we progress in our life, spiritual life, duties will become less and less, and ultimately they will stop. Sri Ramakrishna explains this with a nice parable. In a family, the daughter-in-law becomes pregnant. Mother-in-law takes care of the daughter-in-law. Then usually the daughter-in-law has to do a lot of housework, cooking, cleaning, everything she has to do. But when she is with a child, the mother-in-law gradually reduces her duties gradually. When the child is about to be born, last month, no duty at all, free. When the child is born, no duty. The only duty is to take care of the child. So when pure devotion comes, all our duties will gradually drop away. Our only duty is to remain absorbed in God. Nothing, not even care of the body. So such a stage also will come. Until then, we have to perform our duties. Sharanam Gacha means take refuge in me, Sharanagata. That means we have to still do our duties. Now, this instruction was given as the final instruction in verse number 66. In the next sloka, 67, the Lord Bhagavan Sri Krishna says, who will benefit from this teaching, to whom this teaching has to be given? Some qualifications are necessary for Gita study. Without the preparation and the qualifications, if you study the Gita, the mind is not prepared, then will not benefit from it. It's like listening to some lecture in a foreign language which I don't know what the speaker is speaking, but I'm listening to it, it makes no sense at all. The mind has to be prepared. Preparation must have been made. So what kind of person will benefit from the study of the Gita? To whom this has to be taught? Adhikara means who is eligible to receive this teaching of Bhagavan Sri Krishna. That is in verse number 67. Let us do that one. Idam te na tapaskaya na bhaktaya kadachana na cha shusrushave vachyam na cha mam yobhyasuyati. 3 qualifications are necessary, and one another fourth one also. What are they? These qualifications are necessary for a person to be able to receive the teaching of the Gita, anybody can listen to Gita lectures anywhere. It's all available on the internet. So many learned people, scholars, Swamis have given lecture. But for us to benefit from it, for that to make sense to us, we should have prepared ourselves. What are the preparations, qualifications necessary to study and benefit from the study of the Gita? Idam, this teaching that Bhagavan has given until all the earlier chapters until 66 in chapter 18. Idam, this knowledge, navachyam, should not be given, should not be told. To whom? Na atapaskaya. Tapas means austerity. One who does not perform austerity is atapaska. A person who does not perform any kind of austerity, to him or her, such a person, idam na vachyam, this teaching should not be given. Even if it is given, that makes no impact at all. It just goes away. Like rainwater pouring on a rock, falling on a rock, and nothing happens. If rainwater falls on a fertile ground, then crop will grow. If it falls on a rock, nothing, no impact at all. So like that one. Na atapaskaya. Tapas means austerity. The essence of all austerity is control of the mind and sense organs. Two things. Control of Atma Vinigraha, that phrase has come before several times. Control of mind and sense organ is the purpose of all austerities. So why we should control? If the mind is not controlled, all kinds of worldly thoughts will come and nothing will be achieved. For us to focus attention completely on God, on the self, on the Lord, we have to purify the mind, make it free from selfishness and other impurities such as lust and greed, anger, etc. That's why we do all kinds of austerities. A person who does not do any kind of austerity, atapaska, to such a person, idam navacham, this shastra, this knowledge should not be imparted. Even if it is imparted, it makes no impact at all. So what is tapas that you studied before? Where did we study the topic of tapas? Chapter 17. 3 verses are there. 3 kinds of austerities you have to do. All of us have to do. What are they? Austerities of the body, shariram tapaha. Austerities of speech, vangmayam tapaha. And austerities of the mind, manasam tapaha. All that we studied before. But we have to recapitulate, so we should not forget that one. And we have to perform those austerities daily. We should never stop. So the 3 austerities of body, mind, and body, speech, and mind were given in slokas 14, 15, 16 in chapter 17. Shariram tapaha, devadvaja guru prajna pujanam shaucham arjavam brahmacharyam ahimsa. Shariram tapavachate. Shariram tapa means bodily austerity. The 5 things we studied before. Similarly, 5 austerities, disciplines of the faculty of speech. We should not say anything, everything, necessary, unnecessary, untimely. We should be very careful about every word we say. Once a word is said, we cannot take it back. So what kind of speech austerities are there? Anudvegakaram vakyam. When we say something, we should not cause any disturbance in the listener's mind or in our mind. Satyam should be true. Priyam must be pleasant. Hitam must be beneficial, useful. Useless talk we should not do. And then 5th one is Swadhyaya Abhyasanam. Study of scriptures is also an austerity. Daily we have to study the scriptures. That is, those 5 are austerities of the faculty of speech. The next one is austerities of the mind. Manasam tapaha. Manah prasadaha. Saumyatvam. Maunam, silence. Atma vinigraha, self-control. Control of sense and mind and sense organ. Bhava samshuddhi, purification of our attitude. good attitude towards all beings. All beings are children of God. That should be your attitude. All that we studied in the earlier chapters. Chapter 5, sloka 18, chapter 6, sloka 9, etc. Iti tapo manasa machate. These are austerities of the mind. For a person who has not performed these three kinds of austerities, even if the Gita or some other, even any other subject is taught, it won't make any impact. There'll be waste of effort and time. So that is one requirement. One must be performing, continue to perform austerities of three kinds. Then only Gita study will make some impact on our minds. Second requirement is no abhaktaya vachyam. Abhakta means one who is not devoted to God. Bhakta is a devotee of God. Abhakta means one who has no devotion to God. To such a person, navachyam should not be given. So when the teacher starts a class, the teacher must make sure that all the people have the required eligible qualifications. This is true in any academic course. If you want to take any course in the college, then you have to have fulfilled certain prerequisite requirements. If you are not taken high school algebra and calculus, pre-calculus, calculus, all those things, then teaching higher mathematics will be of no use. You must have fulfilled the required requirements. Similarly, for all subjects, especially for Vedanta, for spiritual knowledge. Dabhaktaya, one who does not, devotion is a qualification. One who does not have devotion to God. For such a person, if you talk about God, no impact at all. He will doubt everything. We say skepticism. There is no such thing as God. How do you know? All these questions they will ask. So we must have faith in the existence of God, some supreme reality, if not personal God, some higher reality, supreme truth, Brahman or self or whatever, in however it is imagined or understood. Then only these teachings will make sense. But everybody has devotion, we all have, but the devotion must be pure devotion, as Sri Ramakrishna says, must be Shuddha Bhakti, Prema Bhakti, Raga, Anuraga, as described by Narada. Narada Maharshi describes pure devotion in this way, in his aphorisms, sutras. Sato asmin parama prema rupa. That means supreme love for God, not ordinary love, we all have. Difference between supreme love, pure devotion, and ordinary devotion, which most people have, is this. In ordinary devotion, there is always some seeking, something we ask God. A person who is in some kind of trouble, he prays to God, we are devotion to God, he prays to God, but he or she is asking God to remove the trouble. Such a person is called an artha. Artha means suffering. Then second kind of person, he is an artharthi. Artha means any object, money or any other object. It can be a job, it can be a house, place to stay for a homeless person. It can be a child. Anything people want that they don't have, that they want to have because they think it will bring happiness. Seeker of such a thing is called an artharthi. They go to God. It's the right thing to do, to go to God. But their devotion is motivated by desire for something. The third kind of person who prays to God is jignasu. Jnana means knowledge. Jignasu is one who has desire for knowledge of God. A devotee prays to God, oh Lord, please reveal your true nature to me, give me devotion. That's good kind of prayer. But still it is a seeking. So all these three kinds of people have devotion. They are doing the right thing. Sukratinaha, Udara Sarvayavate, they are noble people because they are going to God. But Highest devotion is one where there is no seeking at all. Whatever is. No asking for change. Even if trouble is there, a devotee should not ask God to remove the trouble. Everything is accepted as God's will. Good or bad, sorrow or suffering or happiness, no complaining. Such a person who knows God has no seeking, nothing to seek, only devotion to God. This kind of prayer is done by those who are out, pure devotion. Sri Ramakrishna said, when we pray to God, we should not ask for worldly things. And he said in a famous prayer, in English Gospel, it is on page 731, how to pray to God, and when we pray to God, what to ask God. What we should ask from God. That's in that prayer. In Bengali also it is there, in English also it is there. Ami tamar sharanagato sharanagato. O Divine Mother, I have taken refuge in you. I become sharanagata, taken refuge in you. Tamar se padapadde sharanadilam. I have taken refuge in your holy feet, lotus feet. Lokamana China, Devsukha China, Animadya Ashtasiddhi China. O Divine Mother, I don't want worldly fame, Lokamana. I don't want the 8 occult powers, like powers to read somebody's mind, a power to produce things, and power to walk on water, all those things I don't want. Animadya Siddhi China. Devasukha China, bodily comfort I don't want. I want only one thing from you, and that is Tamar Shri Patabadde Shuddha Bhakti Dao. Lokamana Animadya Siddhi China. केवल एक करो जनो और तो तमार से पाद बद्दे शुद्धा भक्ति निष्काम अमला हित की भक्ति. Shuddha bhakti means pure devotion. What does it mean? Nishkama, no desire attached with bhakti. Don't ask for God for anything. Ahitaki, motiveless devotion. That kind of devotion, please grant me devotion to your lotus feet. And then he also continues the prayer. Ma tamabaya ar kevunai, amar ar kevunai. There is nobody else besides you, O Divine Mother. All other people in my life, my friends and family, and they all are there, father, mother. But at some time, the separation will come. But you're always there for me. God is always there for me. No separation between me and God at all. Tamabaya amar ar kevunai. There is nobody else other than you. Like that one, he continues the prayer. So please guide me pure devotion. That's what a person should ask. Bhaktaya, person who does not have that kind of devotion, bhakta, idam na vacham, this teaching should not be given. Even if it is given, it will not make any impact. Devotion to God is necessary to study the teachings of the Lord in the Bhagavad Gita or any other scripture like that one. The same instruction was given by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We should only ask for pure devotion from God, not for any worldly thing like money, fame, etc. There is a famous prayer that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu composed, 8 stanzas. It is called Shikshashtakam, instructions on how to pray. One stanza is like this one. When you pray to God, we should say to God, Nadanam, Najanam, Nasundarim, Kavitam Manakamaye, Jagadisha Nakamaye, Mama Janmani Janmani, Vishware Tvayi, Ahitaki Bhakti Bhavatat. What does it mean? O Lord Jagadisha, Lord of the universe, Nathanam Kamaye, I am not seeking wealth from you. People pray for wealth. They buy a lottery ticket and they will go to the temple and keep the ticket there and pray. This should be the winning ticket. It's okay because they want money. Not bad. They are going to God for whatever reason. Sri Krishna says it's okay. In the 7th chapter, there are 3 slokas, 16, 17, 18. There, Bhagavan Sri Krishna says it's okay to pray to God. Like a child is asking mother for a cookie, she says it's okay. It's going to the mother. It's not going to the kitchen and stealing from the cookie jar. Asking the mother, please give me. That's good in itself. So Chaturvida, Bhajante, Mam Jana, Sukriti, all those things we studied before. Seven chapters, sloka 16, 17, 18. So you are coming back to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's prayer. Nathanam Kamaye, don't want money. Going to God and asking for money is like going to the billionaire and asking for $2. The highest authority can give you liberation. You should ask for the highest thing. When you go to the highest person, he can give that one. So instead of that, asking for peanuts, it makes no sense. Nathanam Kamaye, Ajanam Kamaye. Jana means people, family, followers, disciples, voters. Politicians want more voters to vote for them. That is Jana. That kind of prayer we should think we should not ask God. Nathanam Kamaye, Sundarim Kamaye. I don't want a beautiful, good-looking spouse, because this physical beauty is only short-lived. How long will it stay? No, I don't want that one. But I want one thing from you, O Lord. Mama Janmani, in all my births, in this birth, and if I have to take more births in the future, in all those future births also, Tvayi Ishvare, in you, O Lord, Ahetuki Bhakti Bhavatat, may I have only pure devotion, unmotivated, motiveless devotion only I want from you. Similar prayer that Sri Ramakrishna also made. So a person should pray to God for devotion. When some degree of devotion comes, then the teaching of the Lord will make sense, will benefit from it. Avaktaya, for a person who does not have any devotion to God. Idam navacham, this should not be given, this shastra, this knowledge should not be imparted. That is tapas, bhakti. Third one is nacha shushrusave. Shushrusha means seva, service. Service to the teacher, service to the parents, service to the poor people, service to plants and animals. All kind of service we have to do. That is shushrusha, service. Service to sick people. Ashushrusha is a person who does not do any kind of service. Selfish person, does not want to even talk to somebody who is in need of help. So that person who does not do any kind of service is not fit to receive this knowledge. Ashushrusha navacham, service to teacher, service to parents and elders and sick people, service to needy people, poor people, service to animals and plants. Some form or other we have to do. Everybody cannot do all kinds of service, limitations, but depending upon our circumstances, we should do some service. By doing service to the teacher alone, a student can get all knowledge. That we saw in the case of Latu Maharaj. He was not a scholar. Sri Ramakrishna tried to teach him the Bengali alphabet. No matter how hard he tried for several days, Latu could not learn even the first few letters. So Sri Ramakrishna said, this is not for you. Reading books and scriptures and scholarship is not for you. You will get whatever you want. So Latu Maharaj served him day and night, took care of him, served Holy Mother also. When Holy Mother had to do chapati for so many people in Nahabad small room, Latu Maharaj will go and help her to knead the flour and help her in cooking, etc. That kind of service brought him all knowledge without reading any book, by the mere grace of his teacher, Sri Ramakrishna. Similarly, in the case of Totakacharya, the story of Totakacharya has come before. This Totakacharya was one of the four principal disciples of Shankaracharya, Totaka. His name was something else. He was a young man named Giri. He had no scholarship, did not know Sanskrit grammar or anything. But he wanted to become a disciple of Shankaracharya. Shankaracharya accepted him. All right, you come, stay with me. Other disciples like Sureshwara and Padmapada, they were all great scholars in their own right. They were very proud of their scholarship also. Justifiably, they had a lot of scholarship, knowledge, scriptural knowledge. The Totaka Giri did not have any, but he specialized in serving his teacher Shankara. Totaka would always serve Shankara, whatever Shankara needed, teacher needed, before being asked. The sign of a good student or disciple is, before being told to do something, that person should anticipate the need of the teacher and serve that teacher. Similarly, while serving sick people, before they ask us, we should know what they need and we serve them like that. Sign of a good person who does service. Totaka was like that one. So one day what happened, the class time came. Every day Shankara used to do class for all the disciples. Everybody assembled, but Totaka was not there. And the other disciples like Sureshwara and Padmapada, they were impatient. Shankara was not starting the class because of waiting for Totaka to come and join. So the other disciples said, "Sir, why do you have to waste our time waiting for him? He does not have any knowledge of scriptures or anything. He just there. Let us start the class." Shankara didn't reply, simply kept quiet. Finally, Totaka came a few minutes late. He was embarrassed because everybody was waiting for him, was late for the class. Then he stood there feeling guilty for being late. Shankara simply blessed him mentally, didn't say any word, nothing. Mentally, Shankara said, "May he gain knowledge." Sankalpa means if he makes up his mind, Guru makes up his mind, the student will get the knowledge. So Shankara made up his, blessed him mentally, didn't say anything, but immediately Totaka had never shown any ability in scholarship or language or anything, composed extemporaneously right on the spot and chanted a beautiful Vedantic hymn in a nice meter called Tunaka meter, Totaka meter. Everybody was astounded. How did this man, who never knew any scholarship, didn't know any tendency, any inclination towards scholarship, can compose and chant such a beautiful hymn without any preparation? They were astounded. What happened was Shankara blessed him. Immediately, that very moment, Totaka got all knowledge. Merely by the grace of the teacher, grace of teacher, Guru Kripa. So that's the power of service. By serving the teacher, serving the elders, serving sick people, old people, needy people, poor people, serving animals and plants, our mind becomes purified, totally unselfish. When you become totally unselfish, we become one with God. What keeps us away from God is our selfishness. I am the separate person. I have this, I have that. That is selfishness. I am this self. But if you give that I, the small I, but just in the divine, only God remains. This is what Swami Vivekananda said in his Karma Yoga lectures. A small book called Karma Yoga, where Swamiji has given 8 lectures. And in one of those lectures, on page 87 of Karma Yoga book, Swamiji has said this famous sentence worth remembering. Only three words are there. There Swamiji said, unselfishness is God. So we become unselfish by serving other people. Myself is sacrificed interest in the interest of service of other people. I dedicate my life, my energy, my money, my resources, my time, everything for the service of others. No consideration for expecting any benefit for oneself. Unselfish service. That will bring the grace of God. And by grace of God, everything can happen. Everything will come. So a shushrusha, a person who does not do any kind of service, idam na vacham, should not be given. So first is tapas, austerity is required. Second is bhakti, devotion is required. Third is seva, shushrusha. Seva must be done. Then the mind is ready to benefit from the teachings of the Lord Sri Krishna. These are 3 qualifications. The 4th one is nachamamyo yati. Yati means one who speaks ill of God. People don't have any faith in God. And when they listen to hear somebody talking about God, they say, oh, they make fun of it. What kind of God is your God? He is letting all these difficulties. World is going through so much suffering. He is watching, doing nothing. What kind of God is he? He is not doing anything. Like that, they will speak ill of God. This is what Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar said to Sri Ramakrishna when Sri Ramakrishna went to see Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar. In the Gospel, there is a chapter, Visit to Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar. Then during the conversation, Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar asked Sri Ramakrishna, Sir, you talk about God. When this Genghis Khan, the Muslim ruler, was torturing people, killed thousands of people, God was there watching. Why did he not interfere? Why did not stop this? Like this, some question Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar asked. Sri Ramakrishna said, who can we know what God's will is? What he does, we can't explain. So we cannot know the ways of God. That was Sri Ramakrishna's simple reply. So one who questions is very skeptic, and not only skeptic, but he speaks ill of God, abhyasovati. For such a person, this teaching should not be given. Even if it is given, he will not be ready to receive it. He won't benefit from it, so waste of time. So these four things have to be kept in mind before we study the Gita. That means tapas, austerity must be done for a person to benefit from the study of the Gita. Bhakti, devotion must be there. And then Shushrusha, Seva must be done, become unselfish. And fourth one is we should have faith in God and not speak ill of God. I was giving a talk once someplace else and talking something about this one. I was talking about, I think, sloka number 65. Manmana Bhamadukta Mandajimam Namaskuru. Then one person in the audience asked me the question. God is a very egotistic person. He says, be devoted to me and serve me and then do namaskar to me. How much egotistic God is? He wants me, everything, me, worship me, be devoted to me. Then I don't know what to reply. What can I say? Because he's not ready. All the talk I was giving on Gita or something else, he was not ready to receive that one. He was questioning Abhyasoviti. He was talking ill of God. Such a egotistic person like this one. So that mind must be prepared. Otherwise, you can study any scripture, any book, nothing will happen. No benefit will come. So that is sloka number 67. Idam te na tapaskaya na bhaktaya kadachana na cha shusrushave vachyam na cha mam yobhyasoyati. Now, next verse is simpler. 68, 69. Let us do 68. Dayimam paramam guhyam madbhakteshvabidasyati bhaktim maye param kritva mame vaishyati asamshayaha. Dayimam paramam guhyam madbhakteshu abidasyati bhaktim maye param kritva mameva eshyati asamshayaha. No doubt, assumption, there is no doubt. Such a person reaches me alone. Mameva eshyati. Eshyati means comes to me alone, reaches me alone. We reach God alone. What we should do? Who will reach God? Yaha, a person who imam paramam guhyam. This Gita Shastra, which is supreme and secret knowledge. Secret means mystery. Is mysterious knowledge. Mysterious means not understandable by everybody unless a person is prepared. Only such a person can understand. Even anybody else can read Gita or any. I can take a book on some quantum mechanics. I can read in English, but nothing makes sense to me. I don't have any preparation. So that is available to everybody, Gita. There is not secret in that way, but it is not captured, cannot be understood. Study is not beneficial for those who don't have the preparation explained in the previous sloka. Four things. Jaimam paramam guhyam madbhakteshu abidasyati. Abidasyati means abidasyati vakshati, one who teaches him. imparts this Gita knowledge with devotion, bhakti maye param kritva, with devotion to me, one who teaches or shares this knowledge with other people who are interested and eligible to study. Such a person, mameva eshyati, reaches me alone, asamshaya, no doubt. That means in the scriptures, in the Taittiriya Upanishad, we have been told repeatedly that every seeker of God or self-knowledge, among other things, must do two things every day. Other thing, lot of other duties are there. Satyam, Mada, Dharmam, Chara, Matradeva Bhava, Pitradeva, etc. So many things have to be done by a seeker of God, seeker of self-knowledge. But among those things that we all have to do are two things. Swadhyaya Pravachana. Swadhyaya Pravachana Abhyamna Pramaditavyam. Pramada means forgetting to do what is required to be done. Two things required to be done, among other things, are Swadhyaya Pravachana. Swadhyaya means study of scriptures. With devotion and willingness to study with open mind, not skepticism. Pravachana means sharing with others what you have studied. Why are you sharing? Not to give other people. When we share something, we should not do it by thinking that I'm giving this to that person, he will benefit from my teaching. Not like that. That's the wrong attitude for sharing. Pravachana is done to intensify, to clarify our own understanding. When we try to explain something to somebody, in that process, our understanding of that will become clearer. If we read something and keep the book aside, then I understand to some extent. But if I give a talk on the book talk, some people give, then I have to read it and carefully prepare. Then my understanding of the book becomes better. When I try to explain something to somebody, in that process, my understanding of that subject will be better. Whether that person will benefit from my teaching or not, that we don't know. Not in our hands. But what this sharing will do, Pravachana will do, is for the student who shares whatever he or she has studied, his or her understanding of the subject becomes clearer. That's why we should do Pravachana. Unless you try to explain to somebody, our understanding will be not very clear because we read and I understood. But when I have to explain that to somebody, then I'll have to prepare, study it deeply, then my understanding in that process becomes better. But the other people who listen to me will benefit or not in my hands, not up to me, not in my expectation. No expectation of return for my work. I just do my duty, that is all, sharing. So Adhyaya Pravachana. So such a person, Abhidhasyati, who shares whatever he or she has studied, Mai Param Bhaktim Kratva, with great devotion to me. That whatever we share, we should do with devotion. Not standing on a pedestal, I know more, I am teaching you, wrong attitude. With humility, and this little bit I have studied, and this is what I understood, see if it makes sense to you. Placing before you. And be ready to receive opinion advice from a listener also, not one way. If somebody who listens to my lecture knows more, he or she may say, this is what it really means, and I should be willing to accept it with humility. So with that, Madbhakteshu Abhidasyati distributes or shares with, among other devotees, Madbhakteshu, Mai Param Bhaktim Kratva, with much devotion to me, Mameva Eshyati, reaches me alone, Asamshaya, no doubt about it. So we have to do two things. Everybody has to study, everybody means those who are interested in spiritual life, must study the Gita, one, Swadhyaya, Gita or some other scripture. And next thing we have to do is Pravachana. Pravachana means sharing what you have studied with the intention and clarifying one's own understanding. That is Pravachana. Swadhyaya Pravachana Abhyamna Pramaditavyam, like this repeatedly in the Taittiriya Upanishads we have been told. So a person who does Swadhyaya Pravachana both, such a person, what happens? Mameva Eshyati reaches me alone. We reach God. Assumption, no doubt. So this is the benefit that we get by studying and sharing what we study. Anything with other people, we get the benefit. So let us stop here. 69 is on the same topic. We'll continue next time. Now, how many? About 10 slokas are remaining. We'll finish it. And then after finishing the Gita study, you have decided, I gave some options. You can either stop this class and not do anything, or you may ask some other Swami to continue some other book. But I was told that I should continue and we should study Narada Bhakti Sutra. Very easy text, very interesting text. And there are no complications there. It touches our heart. Everybody has devotion. Everybody has devotion. Even animals have devotion. Evolution will love for something. Animals also love their babies, young ones. Fiercely, they safeguard their babies. So that love we have for God, everyone has. But it can be intensified, made deeper, and directed towards God. Then we reach God in a simpler, easier way. No Vedanta, no Atmajnana, no such thing. World is unreal, we don't say like that one. World is a dream-like reality, but the devotee does not say everything is real, everything is God himself. So we'll study that one after finish the Bhagavad Gita, Narada Bhakti Sutra. Some of you have studied that one earlier. So we'll say the closing prayer. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah, Sarve Santu Niramayah, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma Kaschid Dukkha Bhag Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om. May all be happy. May all be free from ill health and other problems in life. May all realize and practice what is noble, dharmic, and virtuous. And may no one be subject to any kind of misery. Om peace. May there be peace and joy in our hearts. Adhyatmika Shanti. May there be peace and harmony amongst all beings. Adi Bhautika Shanti. And may there be peace everywhere in nature. Adi Daivika Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat. Sarvam Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.